Hey everybody, happy Friday. If you are watching this on the day I put it out, then by the time you see it, I'm probably going to be at Aquatifur, which is a furry con in Wisconsin Dells. It's going to be my first time going to that con, and in fact, it's going to be my first con that I go to outside of the state of Florida. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a little weird going where I don't think I'm going to know anyone besides the person who I'm going with. But, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a nice welcome break from everything going on. I might be like laughing about it, but quite honestly, I think it's been a mix of both my ADHD tendencies and quite admittedly some heavy depression that has shaped a lot of this year. I used to be into the productivity hustle culture mindset thing, and I'm not really into that anymore because I know that it can get kind of dark and grim, and it's really hard to feel good while living under capitalism. But I want to, besides being able to provide for myself and my household, I also want to be able to just do the fun things that we enjoy, spend time with my partners, going out, being able to work on side projects that I think are fun, not having to be like constantly hunting down new clients, for instance. But all of the to-dos and tasks, they kind of just keep building up to the point where I get like overwhelmed looking at the things to do. And then instead of just tackling the list well, which some days I can do, but other days I just kind of get overwhelmed and end up looking at the to-do list at the end of the day and it's grown longer. Which, I don't think the solution is me not using a to-do list anymore. I do enjoy using I use Todoist. I might go over how I use that later because I do feel like I get a lot of value out of it, as well as planning projects in Notion. Maybe I'll be one of those here's how to do computer productivity things people. But more to the point, it makes it really hard to move beyond just doing the same thing over and over again. I'm trying to do something a little bit different here, managing this vlog and trying to hold myself a bit more accountable to some of the projects that I'm working on. So for instance, I spent a lot of time this week working on a WordPress plugin that I mentioned last week. So I spent multiple days trying to figure out how to do a specific task, and finally I messaged someone who I knew would know a lot more than I did, and they sent me link to documentation that said the exact thing I was trying to do isn't doable yet in WordPress with some of the new features, and that they're looking forward to it coming in the future. So, I want to say, oh, I was learning, but honestly, it still feels like time wasted. I also started working on a new Firefox browser extension that I'm going to want to use for myself for clipping things online to save for like my blogs and newsletters. And I'm hoping that I can clean that up next week when I get home so that I can share it with everybody else. Hopefully you could find ways to use it in your own workflow. But beyond that, I'm just preparing for, again, hopefully a nice, relaxing weekend where I can kind of rest and recharge a little bit. So, that said, I still want to go over some of the things that I like this week. So let's start with things to read. First up, I have an article from Polygon. They did a series this week about Twitch, and one of the articles is called Fame as We Know It Has Been Obliterated. That article is about how streamers are a new type of celebrity, but it's a little bit different type of fame than we expect from, say, like a Tom Cruise or a Tom Hanks or something. Another article that I liked is an article called Moderators Are the Unpaid Backbone of Twitch, which, sure, for Twitch, but also for other platforms too, Discord, in my case, Mastodon. Our moderators are not paid. We all do this on a volunteer basis. Sometimes we even have to basically pay to do it. But we do it because we love the communities that are being fostered there, and we want to be a part of them. And certainly Mastodon moderation has been a really big headache for a while, but certainly the past 2 months with a lot of things going on, and it makes it really hard to want to stay engaged. Another article that I liked, it's not a new one, it's from last year, but it's called Other Trans People Make Me Dysphoric, Trans Assimilation and Cringe. I read this one because I've had a lot of talk with people this week about dysphoria and dysmorphia, both things that can go hand in hand, but not necessarily, but both that I feel like I've dealt with my entire life and I'm still working on. But there's also the idea that I was talking with others about how some people have an issue when they see other people not necessarily passing or assimilating, because the concern is that if they aren't and you associate with them, it makes you more of a target too, which is, unfortunate that people have to think that way. But, in the world that we live in where there's so much attack on trans people, I would love there to be more solidarity, but it's not necessarily wrong of them to think in that way. And the final article is Life After Calvin and Hobbes by Rivka Galchen for The New Yorker. It's an article about Bill Watterson's new book called The Mysteries. I have not read it yet, but I'm looking forward to getting it. And of course, the entire article is in the context of Calvin and Hobbes, the one thing that he's very famous for, and that he has been kind of a recluse otherwise about. Up next, I have things that I enjoyed watching this week. The first one is a YouTube video called I Hacked an AI into a 1980s Intercom. It's a very simple thing where someone takes apart an old intercom. When they say they hacked it, they really mean that they put different devices into it that can connect to their computer, make an AI assistant work. The next video is We Need to Talk About Authoritarianism. This video not only talks about the idea of authoritarianism, but also the maybe misguided idea that a lot of people in the West have about it while comparing, say, the United States to other countries. I noticed that a lot of furries have been making videos recently about inflatables. I've seen a few different documentaries about it recently. Coyote did this documentary for her series Beyond the Fandom. It condenses it into something accessible and really focuses on, here's something that's making people feel like they're finding an identity, finding their more authentic selves, and really enjoying it. Sticking around in the furry world, there is a video called I Don't Think Plush Knows What Furries Are. It is a review of the comic series Plush, which is written by someone who is not a furry, but says they know furry friends. But the comic is kind of not very good at all. And instead of just saying, this sucks, the video creator dove into specific reasons why they have a problem with it, like why they have problems with representation of furries, why they have problems with representations of trans people especially, why they have representation issues with the community, and why the story itself is just kind of like a nonsense mess. And finally, since it is spooky season, I like this video called I Made a Horror Game in One Day. I've seen a lot of people actually play this game online, and it's not very long for them to play it, but it's a lot of fun seeing someone talk about how they came up with a concept and built it in a day, with some skills they already had. Finally, I'm on to the things that I heard this week. So my friends at Underrepresented in Tech did a series about inclusivity. The first 3 episodes are being a black man in tech, being a non-dev in tech, and being somebody with a disability in tech. And then there are 3 more episodes that are going to come out next week. Some of my favorite bands are Twerp and Ninja Sex Party, who often do music together. And both of them have new music videos this week, so that's awesome. I get to share the new Twerp video, Have You Heard? And the Ninja Sex Party video, Let's Save the Earth. And that's it. I'm going to keep this one nice and short, editing it tonight, putting it up for Friday morning so that, it can be ready to go when I'm on my flight. And I'll let you all know how it goes next week. I'll make sure I take some pictures. And I really hope you have a great weekend. Bye.